Hey there, how you doing? Hope you're really good. I am, and today's video is in response to a message that I've received from Denzel, and Denzel writes, I'm struggling to forgive somebody for something that they've done. Would you be able to say a few words around forgiveness? So thank you for your question, Denzel, and of course I will share my thoughts around forgiveness. Forgiveness is a biggie. Okay, it's huge, and I think it's so important that we are able to learn how to forgive people and how to let go of the hurts that we've experienced, because it's a true belief of mine that by holding on to grudges and by holding on to, feelings of resentment, the only person that we're actually hurting is ourselves when we do that. And I think that it really is important to acknowledge and to understand that when we forgive, primarily we're doing it for ourselves. I think that there is something to be said about forgiving for the other person, but primarily I would say that it is done for yourself. And one of my favourite, speakers, T.D. Jakes, says, one of his quotes is that when you hold on to your history, you do so at the expense of your destiny. And I'm a firm believer in that, and that's why I'm such an advocate of a technique called timeline therapy, created by Dr. Tad James, where you're actually able to let go of, using this technique, able to let go of your negative emotions and limiting beliefs that were created in the past. But I really, really do believe that it's so important to let go of the hurts and let go of the resentments that you have from your past, because you're hurting yourself by holding on to them. And I had an experience when I was 15 years old, and something quite traumatic happened. I'm not going to go into the details of it because I don't want to trigger anybody else's, anything within somebody else, create any negative internal representations, we call them, in NLP. But I had a quite traumatic experience when I was 15, which involved one of my friends at the time, my best friend. And what happened was awful, and it took me a long time to come to terms with what had happened. And when I had come to terms with it, I decided that I needed to forgive her because I needed to be okay, and I needed to feel better, and I needed to feel happier in my life. And by holding on to the resentment, that I was actually hurting myself, because I was carrying around this burden of hurt and pain and anguish. And so what I did was I wrote her a letter, and I didn't give it to her, but just the act of writing a letter and writing out the hurts that I'd experienced, writing out how I would have preferred the scenario to actually play out, writing out what expectations I had had of her and the expectations I had of myself, really helped me to actually let go of those emotions that I was holding on to. It wasn't until a lot later on, when I found NLP, that I was able to learn the technique of timeline therapy and was able to completely let go of those emotions. But it was a process. Writing this letter really helped. To the extreme, to the extreme where when I saw the person again, probably a few years later, I went up to her and I told her that I had forgiven her. And she cried, and she was so grateful, and she was, very, very remorseful about what had happened, and rightfully so. But I didn't necessarily do the initial forgiving for her. I did it for myself. But it was important for me, when I did see her, that I expressed that forgiveness to her also. And to this day, when I see her, if I see her, then I'll say hello to her. Obviously, we're never going to be the best of friends, but it was an important thing for me to be able to do. And some of you who have been to my trainings will know the experience that I'm talking about. It's something that I share because it's an important aspect of my life. It was an important part of, me being the person that I am today, and coming to NLP to help me to overcome the challenges and overcome the hurdles and obstacles that I'd faced in my life. And that was a big one. It was a huge one. But forgiveness for me is really, really important process for you. So that is the one thing that I would say, and one thing that I want you to take away from the video, is that forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about you. If you choose to then extend that forgiveness and let that person know that you forgive them, then hey, great, you know, more power to you. But it isn't essential, it's about you, and it's about you being able to let go of those resentments. And then, you know, just being able to find ways of feeling happy and comfortable and confident about just settling into that letting go of the resentments, so that you can live a more fulfilling and more happy, successful life. So I would say, you know, in terms of struggling to let go, Denzel, of the resentments that you feel that you're holding on to, do it for you. You know, do it for you, don't do it for the other person, and you will experience and have a sense of relief and a sense of freedom when you actually forgive that person. So I really, really do wish you well. You know, experiment with the technique of writing that person a letter. Watch the video back and listen to the things that I said about that, perhaps the things that you could include in that letter. Could give it to them if you wanted to, or just the mere act of writing that letter alone, getting those feelings and getting those thoughts out of your system onto paper can really, really help with the process of forgiveness. And just decide that you're ready, you're willing, you want to feel better, you want to have a happier life, you want to let go of the resentments, and you will. You know, just make the decision to. Okay, so I hope that this helps, and I will look forward to making another video really soon. Okay, bye for now.